All right,
Probably planning those fireworks.
yeah. All right, I'm recording. All right, so pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Westborough Recreation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.town.westborough.ma.us. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen, watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. A recording of this meeting will be posted on westboroughrec.com. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Westborough Recreation website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. The end. Okay, so just a couple of things. Probably the I guess we'll go down the list, but we have just a summer update on what we've been doing, and canceling things in relation to COVID. A fields update, and then a discussion and vote about paying for an algae treatment at Lake Chauncey. So, as you know, we've canceled almost all of our summer programming. We've issued refunds. Like I was saying at the beginning, people have been very understanding, no complaints, really respectful of our decisions. With that said, though, we do have a few programs that are still running: best soccer, horseback riding, golf, an outdoor adventure program. And I've been talking with Brian Willer, the varsity basketball coach, and he is going to run a couple of weeks of outdoor sort of basketball camp. So him and actually Liz Powell, the girls coach, are going to team up and do that. And as we move through the next couple of weeks, we're still going to get creative on other things that we can be doing. I have in my head like a spray day where maybe the fire truck comes down, sprays kids. I'm sure Adam and Steven will have ideas. So we're not going to leave people out to dry, that's for sure. Adam, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Adam, I mean,
you're sideways. How come you're sideways, Adam?
No, Adam,
because he's in the office.
I'm in the office, and it's the only way my phone is able to stand up without having to hold it. So sorry if I look weird, but
okay.
I've been working with a lot of our vendors outside of like the typical clinics and stuff, trying to do a mix of virtual programming, but also in-person programming. Like Jen said, outdoor adventure, we're offering a lot more outdoor programming through one of our vendors. And then I'm looking to see if we can get a lot of our, I guess, typical school year programming that we do in schools, trying to find a way to either offer it virtually or if they can do something outside to do that as well. So from a lot of moving pieces and kind of back and forth emailing people, but the hope is to offer, as the summer goes on, more and more programming as we kind of move through it. So
I will say that yesterday the community ed canceled their enrichment programs, and so they're still running their like non-enrichment programs, but people were bummed. So like people are still looking for anything.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
good
all
thing.
of the Cyprian Keys ones, golf are full. So people are definitely looking for anything.
Perfect.
Have we done anything? I think the last meeting we talked about possibly putting it on Facebook and other places to ask the community for ideas. Are we doing that?
Yeah, I have a spreadsheet set up. I just haven't put it out there yet. I want to make sure there's a lot of confusion, even just about what's canceled and what's not. So I want to make sure that's clear. We get everything canceled that's canceled. And then in the next week or so, we're going to start rolling out, okay, this is what we're running. Do you have any, other things that you want to see get done, and things like that. But I just wanted to take this time because even though I typed a lengthy email and that specifically said there were certain programs that weren't canceled, but there's confusion like, oh, well, I thought everything was canceled. My son's enrolled in soccer, but it's like, no, you can still do soccer. So we just want to kind of let the dust settle a little bit, and then we'll start rolling out new summer things. And I'm interested to see what phase 3 guidelines bring too. That's supposed to start the 29th, I think. But yeah, we'll definitely reach out to the public for feedback on things that they're looking for.
Did you see they've already lessened the requirements of childcare?
Yes, I
On the
did.
masks and the temperature.
Yeah, so that's really good. And then also I checked with our Board of Health. There's something called an outdoor education experience that I think that we're going to fall under. So it specifically says like horseback riding, golf, paintball, archery, where these are outdoor experiences, and those guidelines are a lot less. And Ray and the Board of Health said that we can we could qualify to fall under that. So that even includes that, like the little 1-hour basketball drills, so that even though they took it away, the temperature thing, but before we wouldn't have to do temperatures. We'd still have to do social distancing and all of that, but it's a lot less than the camp guidelines. We wouldn't be considered a camp. So
That's great.
yeah. And a meeting hopefully next week with our insurance and agent and lawyer and town council, just to make sure that we're covering ourselves with waivers if we need additional waivers. I wanted parents to self-certify that their kids don't have a fever, that they haven't traveled, that they haven't been knowingly exposed to COVID. So hopefully we're meeting next week to just kind of iron out those details. So I think we'll be able to offer a little bit this summer for sure.
Hey, Jen, how about, another popular game that is similar to golf is disc golf.
Yep.
Could we put something together, even if it's just a trial thing this summer, just to see if anyone's interested, just try something like that. If we were able to get some temporary baskets, and even if we did like a 3-hole, 9-hole course someplace, and see if that had some interest.
Sure. We can look into that. Okay, so that's summer. Fields, some good news. We did open the fields as of Monday, but with that comes obviously restrictions and guidelines. It's only for youth groups right now. And they can only, like Little League, I'm going to use them as the example because they're the only ones using them. They can only do practices, and the groups can only be of 10 or less per playing surface. But that doesn't mean that it can only be 10 kids on a diamond at one time. They can spread out in the outfield as long as the groups are 20 feet apart. So I believe Little League is going to get rolling at the end of this week. So Earl has turned over all the infields. The fields look awesome, and they're ready to go. Phase 3 hopefully is when competitions can start. So games in adult leagues. Again, everyone has just been really respectful of the rules and the guidelines. I know men's softball is eager to play, but they've been very respectful, in respecting like the guidelines, and that the fact that they can't be out there right now. And Little League has done a great job. They have tons of guidelines in place, protocols. So that's another thing I'm going to ask our insurance agent if I have to make Little League sign off saying, hey, you understand that there are rules you have to follow and yada, yada, but that's kind of up in the air. But I know Jason Pashota has already sent me what he's planning to do, and they have the benefit of the governing body of Little League, who's probably, I'm sure, has their own guidelines that are funneling down to the teams. So I think they'll be fine. We'll see how this week goes. But
Jen, is that softball as well? Girls softball?
I don't, Colleen, you might be able to talk more to that. I've only been talking to Jason, but I believe that Jason's the president of everybody. And I think, Brian, you said you were going to put up the batting cages. So I assume softball is coming back.
It looks
Same
like
as baseball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. And how about cricket, Jen?
So cricket is there. That's an adult sport, so they can't be on the fields right now. They still want to play. They're very eager. So hopefully in phase 3 they can get out there.
Great.
Yep.
I heard Rogers has never been drier, Brian.
Yeah, it looks so good.
I was down there the other day. It did look good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The
Yep.
field is beautiful.
It is. It really is.
And one of the pitcher's mounds is flat, so Earl was gonna build that up tomorrow. So
Oh, good.
he was all over it.
The only problem, as beautiful as it's just 4 feet too low.
I know.
Mm.
All right, so the last thing, probably the most important thing, is this algae treatment. So as you might remember, we were gonna go to town meeting and ask for the funds to treat the beach for algae, because so that we didn't run into the situation that we had last year and would have to close the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Then COVID happened. So Steve Bakari and I talked, he's the Board of Health Director, and we said, yeah, okay, we've never had this treatment before. So we'll just wait until next year. There's no point, we'll take it off the warrant. It's fine. The selectmen feel very strongly about still treating the beach for this, because it's our only kind of public swimming area that we should, kind of nip it in the bud now and still move forward with it. And so we were asked if the rec department could pay for it. It was supposed to be around $16,000. Now it's going to be a little bit less at $11,300, just because we're starting later. So I just kind of wanted to get your opinion. I mean, if you have questions about the treatment, I'm happy to ask. My one thought is that we've been very lucky. There's been a lot of rec departments that have either been furloughed or laid off. There's not been any discussion about laying us off or reduction in force. And I think that they could not easily justify, because we're canceling camp and all that, but they feel like they value us as a staff. So if this is something that we can do this year to kind of help out and do something the selectmen feel very strongly about, we have the money. Even after we did all the refunds, our revolving balance right now is about $130,000. So we have $11,000 to spend. I'm not worried about that. And I made it clear that this would be a one-time thing. We wouldn't be able to continue this yearly. And they understood that. So I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on if you think it's a good idea, and we can vote. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Yes,
I don't know. I
Colleen.
kind of think it. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. She
Go
just
ahead,
raised her hand. That's why.
Oh, I didn't know I had to. I just feel like if it can help you out and helps us out, and just it would be a good thing to do. It is a lot of money, but if we have the money, we should do it.
And Jen, is this a building block towards, I'm sorry, Colleen, do you have a question for us? I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
It's okay. My question was, I do think we should clarify for people what is happening at Chauncey. So you probably saw, Jen, or maybe I even sent it to you. There was a lot of chatter on social media about whether or not the water is still going to be tested. And I guess I took away that we weren't going to do anything, and the we being the town. But then I think one of the responses on the social media was that weekly testing was still going to happen, because I think there's groups that use it daily and to swim. And so I think whatever we're doing, we should just make it clear. And I think the algae treatment is above and beyond what normally would be done, right?
Exactly. So I just was at the selectmen's meeting, because they were unclear. That's all the same. Colleen, did you just see?
I know,
Sorry, Colleen, you were just looking up.
flew,
Look at what's happening.
Two birds flew very low towards me.
Yeah, I could tell something was going on. So I was just at the selectmen's meeting right before this, because there's a lot of confusion even for them, because it's all the same words, like treatment, testing. So that's a good point. Maybe I can put something out, but yeah. So the bacteria testing is something that we do annually when the beach is open, that we were not going to do this year because the beach is closed. The weed treatment is a maintenance issue, and that we are actually going to be doing that this year, because if we didn't, it would be a mess next year. So, but I do agree, Colleen, there is a lot of confusion around all of these things. But the algae treatment program, I'll call it a program, is different and brand new. We've never done it before.
So I actually think that Shelby said you were going to continue to test.
Yeah. So she knows
The
now,
water.
because I just relayed it all out for them like 20 minutes ago. What's what? So, and there's just a lot of talk
Okay.
about why we're closing
So
the beach.
so we're gonna do weeds.
We're doing weeds and algae, hopefully.
Okay. But we never did weekly testing anyways. We just didn't do the annual testing.
No, we've always done, when the beach is open, the Board of Health does weekly testing for bacteria, but only during the 6-week period that we're open.
And so is the concern if we kept doing that, we would be somehow giving people permission to swim in it? Does it cost anything?
Yep, it's $35 a week. Steve, the Board of Health Director, and I talked, and we felt like it was mixed messages that, hey, we're testing the water, but we're closed. I do have signs that just came today that indicate there's no lifeguards on duty, the beach is closed, and we are not testing for bacteria. So once those are up, I think that'll help, and I will also put something out that kind of explains everything.
That's helpful.
Thanks.
So Jen, the treatment for the algae,
Yep.
now that I understand it's different than everything we've done before, is it a building block for, is it something once we start, we have to keep doing and it's recommended that we keep doing? Is that the
Yep.
issue?
So building block is a great word. So yes, we would keep doing it, but what the selectmen and the Conservation Commission feel very strongly about is that this is, and it technically is sort of a Band-Aid, a good Band-Aid, but Band-Aid nonetheless, to a bigger problem. And so they want to get a watershed study done. But that's even more money, more time, and that would almost be a project for the Conservation Commission, because every town I've talked to that's done one it's all gone through conservation. So this would be, we'd start these treatments and do them annually and kind of get a sense of what the water quality is on the whole watershed study. So what the water quality is, what's growing there, why or how, where it's coming from. There's a lot of in-depth things that they can do apparently with this study. And so that's the end goal that the selectmen and the Conservation Commission would like, is that, do these treatments, it'll help. But at the end of it, what's the plan? We need a watershed study and a water management plan. But again, that sort of, it sounds like, would transition into conservation taking over, because a lot of every other town, Rector has no involvement.
So based on that, there you go. That's my segue. So based on that, why does this fall on rec this year when it's really above and beyond rec? I'm just curious.
So this was because we were the ones that we run the beach, and we were the ones that were impacted by the algae treatment. And so I reached out to Solitude with Steve's help. That's who does our weed treatment and everything. Said, hey, is there anything that we can do to, be proactive about this? Because it really killed our season last year. And that's how we got into it. So we wanted the town to pay for it, which I think the town would have. I mean, who knows what town meeting would do, but the selectmen were in favor of putting it on the warrant and going to town meeting asking for the money. But now, just in light of COVID and trying to, help with the budget and all of that, we took it off, but the selectmen still want it paid for. And that's when we were asked to do it. So moving forward next year, we would be going to town meeting for the money. We wouldn't be using rec funds.
Is there anything, is there any benefit to set protocol or precedent, I should say, to not have it just us? Should we ask other parts of the town to, even if it's $100, just so their name's on it too, so it's not starting it off that it's rec, and then it sets a precedent that it's going to be rec every time?
So I think I was pretty clear, and Christy, I've told her that this is the only year we could do it. And that's a good idea to have people chip in, but unfortunately, fortunately for us, we are one of the only departments that have a revolving account. All of the departments have budgets that are preset. So even if conservation wanted to, their budget wouldn't allow for them to throw in any money. Our revolving account operates very much like your personal checking account. Money in, money out, and where every other, I think every other department operates on a budget where every year they go, we're going to spend this much on X, this much on X, this much on X, and to move. And so say if you overestimate on one area and underestimate on another, it's a process to go and move money from line to line. So we
I
don't
see.
operate on a line item situation. It's just a bunch of money sitting there that we can kind of use how we want. It's really not a.
All right. I have one more question then. So
Yeah.
what, for me, I would like to know, and maybe other people do too, what is your recommendation? What would you like?
I think that for this year, we pay for it only because I've been privy to many conversations. The selectmen feel very strongly about keeping the lake clear and usable. And like I said, I think that this is kind of a small thing that we can do to say, we're working together. Sure, we're going to do this. And I think it's just another way that, you know, like, it just shows that we hear them and we're able to do it. So let's just do it. If we didn't have any money in our revolving account, I would certainly push back. But with 130,000, spending $11,000, it's doable for this year.
And the way you've described the account, if that money was placed towards the algae, that doesn't mean there's less budget to keep you and Steve and Adam.
No,
Right.
that money is town money.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I got
like
it.
that comes
I just
from
wanted to hear.
you guys, taxpayers.
Okay.
But and they don't like when I say it like this, but the other money is not town money. It's
I got it.
program fees and things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I guess the one thing that I
Colleen,
have questions about is, oh, can you hear me?
you just keep kind of
Is now
freezing.
okay? Oh, okay. The
might
one
want-
thing that I have question about is that we're saying that we're not going to do the weekly testing, but then we're going to do this.
Yeah. So the one doesn't go with the other. This algae is more of a, overall maintenance of the lake. The bacteria testing is just a weekly testing that's only done within the 6-week window that we're open. So Steve doesn't go out in May and test for bacteria. It's literally only when we're open for, you know, swim lessons and swimming. I know people are still swimming at the beach, but only in our window. So people use the
Okay.
beach, you know, end of April through October, but he
At
only
their
tests
own
for
risk.
6 weeks.
And we want to figure out if this works, right? This is part of it.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. It's a different type of testing. It's more it's higher level. I look at it as like an overall maintenance. Like that's why we're doing the weed treatment again, because he said if you miss a year of weed treatment, you're going to be, you know, it's going to be even worse next year. So, like Earl went and raked the sand because it's a maintenance. It's just general upkeep. And I kind of classify this algae treatment or algae program, which I'm going to try to start calling it, as just in that kind of category.
That's a good way
That's
to put
helpful.
Yeah.
it. Algae treatment program. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because I feel like the words treatment, testing
Yeah.
are all getting like interchanged.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds better.
okay. So I don't know if we want to make a
You need a
motion to
motion?
vote on paying for the algae program for this summer for $11,300.
Sure. I make go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, please, Beth, you go ahead.
I'll make a motion that recreation pays for this summer only algae program.
I second it.
All in favor? Oh, I
Aye.
guess we have to. We
Nice.
should probably do roll call. Brian.
Okay.
Brian Kane. Aye.
Okay. Bill.
Bill Clausen, aye.
Beth.
Beth Travis, I.
Colleen.
Colleen Dowd, yes.
Awesome. Thanks. Perfect. So that's all I have. Yeah, that's it.
Jen, I know that you talked about it. How much was it to test weekly?
$35 a week. And it's not, and this is what I brought up at the selectmen's meeting, is that Steve and I said it's not that we can't afford it or Steve and the Board of Health are too busy. It's just, we're saying the beach is closed. Now, is this an invitation saying, hey, we're testing weekly? But we're saying the beach is closed, and he never tests when the beach is closed.
Yeah.
So
I was just wondering if it's worth going down there and testing every couple of weeks just to do it and not let anybody know you're doing it.
Yeah.
Just to get something to happen.
Yeah,
Right.
that's not a bad idea. I could bring that up
What
to Steve.
about, like, would it be a component of the algae program, right? That like we're kind of looking at the water holistically.
It's really not this. It's not like Steve would probably be better kind of he could explain. I know he could explain this better, but one has nothing to do with the other.
Okay.
They're not linked in any way, so it wouldn't.
He said earlier that like they test for like fecal bacteria in the water, that physical weekly testing versus the algae treatment, which is a different type of material that wouldn't be on that test.
Yeah,
They're totally separate.
and it goes back to when. Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's what I was going to say.
Oh yeah, and it goes back to the fact that he only does that specific testing when we're open. Whereas if he gets a call and someone says, hey, the beach is green in September, he'll go out and look at it and then post the beach in September, versus he doesn't do any testing after we close. So I think that's kind of where the gray area is that he would, kind of do something with algae if he got a call outside of our normal operating time, but he doesn't do any bacteria testing outside of our operating time. So if we're technically not operating the beach, he wouldn't do the testing.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, thanks. I'll be in touch with another meeting, but this was good. See
Thanks,
everybody
Jen.
later. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.